What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stokastic here on the Odd Shopper channel, coming to you with the first MLB edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video and goes a long way for you, because that way you become apprised whenever great betting content goes live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Can you believe it? Baseball's back. The original Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks in the MLB straight. Oh my gosh, 162 games from every single team, months and months of baseball coming up here, plus playoffs coming down the pipeline. We have changes of scenery for some of the game's best players to talk through. We have young players primed for breakout seasons. And of course, we have a ton of bets to be firing up right from the get-go. And if you're new to my way of doing things, just want to give you a quick breakdown of what I do here. I'm going to be giving you my favorite bet from every single baseball game on the board every single day. To do that, I've concocted leans, likes, and locks to show you what my personal interest level is in each individual play. Let's start with a lean. A lean is a low confidence play and something that's not on my betting card at that exact moment, but it might make it if the line moves a certain direction or injury news changes the complexion of the bet, or, as will be the case a lot of times, there's just no line out for the game as of recording, and I need to see the actual numbers to give you actual betting information. Next up, likes. That's the thumbs up emoji. A like is a play that is on my betting card, and when you see and hear like, that play will almost always fall within the half unit to standard full unit type of play for me unless I say otherwise. Again, if news changes or a pitcher scratched, use your best judgment to know that a like could always be downgraded to a lean or upgraded to a lock. So what is a lock? Of course, it doesn't mean put your life savings on this thing. It's impossible for it to miss, but a lock is the highest confidence I can give a bet on any specific slate. And you can rest assured that I've bet north of a unit on it because I believe in it that much. Sometimes shorter slates might only have one, sometimes larger slates, like we have for opening day with every team playing baseball, might have several. So keep your eyes peeled for those, as last year's MLB locks alone fed the family well. If you have any further questions about this video, the format, or the process, hit me up at Eric Lindquist, or the most accessible place to find me, the premium Discord, which you can sign up in the link below. It's a great little app that you can sign up for. You can put it on your desktop. You can take it on your phone on the go. You get access to me and a bunch of sharp people talking sports all the live long day at every single moment of the day. So, premium betting card gets posted there every Sunday through Friday. Join in on the fun, get your MLB started off on the right foot. All right, that was a lot of information. We got the intro out of the way, so without further ado, first, MLB Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Let's get to the picks. Our season begins with, well, this is gross. It begins with the lowly Washington Nationals hosting the Atlanta Braves. The Nats are throwing veteran southpaw Patrick Corbin to the Wolves here, with the Braves kicking things off with a lefty of their own in Max Fried. Let's start with Fried, who, despite a middle-of-the-road 23.2% K rate and mere 94-mile-an-hour fastball average, had an unbelievable 2022 season. He limits barrels in such a pronounced way it's silly, nearly 95th percentile in that category, and the 32.1% hard hit rate he gave up with just a 4.4% walk rate? That's elite stuff, so probably why he had a 2.48 ERA and a 2.85 expected ERA when it's all said and done. And aside from the World Baseball Classic standout Joey Meneses, this Nationals lineup has absolutely nothing. Maybe shortstop CJ Abrams, he's a coveted speedster shortstop acquired in the Juan Soto trade to the Padres last year, can live up to his billing as the number 11 prospect in baseball. But if he doesn't, this lineup just has below average hit tool at every other position besides maybe catcher Keibert Ruiz. I mean, it's just a disaster. That's probably why their win total heading into the season is 59 at Caesars Sportsbook. In other words, they're going to be in the cellar of the NL East, and any sort of backing on their part will be purely from a value perspective from time to time. But that certainly won't be the case here with Patrick Corbin taking the mound. Despite being paid $24 million this year and a whopping $35.4 million next year, there is nothing left in the tank for the 33-year-old. He sported a 6.31 ERA in 2022 in his 31 starts with a 1.70 whip, and somehow those service numbers aren't even as bad as what's going on underneath. A 381 xWOBA, a 520 expected slugging, and a mere 18% K rate, and now a date with the Braves? Ooh, that spells disaster to me. Now, it is baseball, which is by nature a high variance sport, and it is the very first game of the season in sub 60 degree weather, so there's that. Still, it's hard to find a better spot for an offense on opening day than this one for the Braves. They carry the slate's highest implied run total. They have absolute lefty killers in Ronald Acuna, Austin Riley at the third base position, and the acquisition of Sean Murphy from the Athletics puts yet another strong righty bat into the heart of this lineup. So even shortstop Dansby Swanson, he's departed. As we go on, we remember. Going off to the Cubs he goes. He will barely be missed because the Braves just stacked. So we're going to get to this party. We're going to get it started with a chalk play, but it's the right play. 1.5 run line here for a chalky, no doubt, but minus 140, still just a bit undervalued here, considering the strength of the Braves starter in Fried, the lineup, and hell, the bullpen. Even Kenley Jansen, resurgent season, looking at Atlanta, minus 1.5. We head to the Bronx next for Yankees hosting the Giants. We've got a 7 total here with 2 righties on the bump, stud ace Garrett Cole for the Yankees, and Logan Webb for the Giants. Let's start with Webb. He finished the tail end of 2022 with some strong ace-like outings despite a lack of true strikeout stuff. He's got just a 20.7% K rate, a 247 expected batting average, that's below average too. But with the departure of former Giant Carlos Rodon to this very Yankees team on the other side, Webb will be relied upon to carry this starting rotation, which I'm just not sure he's capable of. I do like the low average launch angle on balls in play last year, 3.1 degrees, and the 6.2% walk rate, plus a 295 xWOBA, do demonstrate he can minimize damage in certain spots. But my concern here is twofold. For one, any pitcher in a Giants uniform benefits by playing half their games in pitcher-friendly stadium, Oracle Park. And those home road splits are pronounced like you'd expect. A career 3.01 ERA at home for Webb, a 3.95 ERA on the road, a 3.01 xFIP at home, a 3.66 xFIP on the road. Sure, part of that is difficult division with more road games against the likes of the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Rockies in Coors Field. But the Yankees are thoroughbreds on the other side of the plate themselves, playing in a phenomenal ballpark, so the comp is pretty similar to those NL West starts. Which leads me to number 2. If you can't miss bats, you are royally screwed facing this Yankees lineup. Aaron Judge, in his historic season and mind-boggling numbers last year, Giancarlo Stanton, north of a 52% hard hit rate, a 351 xWOBA at that, DJ LeMahieu, Josh Donaldson, Anthony Rizzo from the left side. It's a ridiculous lineup. And not to look into spring training ball too much, but Webb got destroyed in the Cactus League. 18 innings, 4.50 ERA, 1.61 whip with 3 home runs surrendered. Hard to tell without more accurate pitch data like we'll get in this start, but not exactly the form you'd want to see walking into Yankee Stadium. As for the starter in pinstripes, it's pretty clear-cut. Garrett Cole is a stud. Last year was a down year by his standards. His numbers were still pretty elite across the board. A 32.4% K rate, 6.3% walk rate, 284 xWOBA, and a sub-3 xFIP to both sides of the plate. He's primed for another big year. But if Cole isn't on it right away, something tells me he has a propensity to get out of the gate slow, get knocked up, and you're not going to see a massive pitch allotment for him or any other starter on the board right from the get-go. And I have my concerns with this Yankees bullpen. Michael King, Wandy Peralta, they're studs, sure, but Clay Holmes was downright miserable to end 2022, and a lot of other pieces aren't as tested in that bullpen as what you'd want to see. And with Giants lineup that's improving, adding Mitch Haniger, Michael Conforto to the outfield next to Jock Peterson, just absolute righty masher, plus a strong addition in J.D. Davis at the deadline last year. Looks like it could pay off, and this offense might be better than you think. So I think offense is in store from both sides of this one. So the first lock of the season comes right out of the gate. Second game, the over of 7 runs on FanDuel is listed just above standard juice at minus 115, while almost every other book has this line set at 7.5. That is simply too good to pass up in a day game situation at the friendly confines of Yankee Stadium. So yes, a lock on the over of 7 runs. Off to Fenway for Red Sox Orioles, and these two teams could really go either way for me this season. And this pitching matchup is kind of a microcosm of that sentiment. It's Kyle Gibson getting the opening day start for the O's, and Corey Kluber for the Red Sox. New landing pads for both of these righties. But starting with Gibson, despite his Minnesota connection, Never really believed in the stuff. He throws 6 pitches, none of them all that impressive besides the slider that really only works to right-handed bats, and velocity that is slowly trickled down like you'd expect from a normal 35-year-old, despite what the likes of robots like Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer have taught us in recent years. As for Kluber, he carries more name recognition on the other side between the two, but only moderately better stuff, if that. His 3% walk rate is elite. His hard contact profile under 35% is nifty too. But he doesn't have strikeout stuff at 20.2% and is carried by an expected batting average of 261 last year. Not getting carried at all. Both of those numbers are identical to that of Gibson. But wild as it is to say, I think I like this 2023 version of the Orioles lineup more than the Red Sox. Might not even be remotely close. Shortstop Gunnar Henderson is just plus 300 to win AL Rookie of the Year. Cedric Mullins is due for positive regression at the top of this order. Ryan Mountcastle, Anthony Santander just mash baseballs, and Adley Rutschman is one of the best catchers in baseball already, with room to grow at the plate. Top prospect, #1 overall pick status, all the things for him. Still, there are better spots to target on the board than this one, so plus money on the better matchup? I don't know, Baltimore money line, simply a lean though, not on the betting card right now, maybe gets added later, but considering they're favorites now, favorites at -125, that's a little harder to stomach. Now this is a ball game, divisional rivals squaring off in Wrigley Field on opening day. Doesn't get better than that. Cubs hosting the Brewers. Absolute ace Corbin Burns for Milwaukee takes on very, very, very average Marcus Stroman. And similar to Garrett Cole we discussed earlier, Burns had a bit of a down year by his standards in 2022, but still smashed. It's just that in 2021, he had an insane 7.5 WAR, wins above replacement, and he saw that drop nearly 3 wins to 4.6 in 2022. That's still very good, but the K rate is what sticks out here, as he went from 36.7% in 2020 and 35.6% in 2021 down to 30.5%. And I say down in quotes too, because it still puts him in a nearly 90th percentile of all major league pitchers, not just starters. So he can still miss bats, but his curveball and cutter both lost spin in 2022 compared to their 21 numbers. So while it's not a given the K rate trails off even further, it's certainly in play. But I'm being extremely nitpicky, and in no way, he's facing a Cubs lineup that is littered with guys the Cubs are trying to leak something out of. Lefties Eric Hosmer and Cody Bellinger are the epitomes of guys who are looking for a rebound at the plate in any way, shape, or form, as defensively they're extremely solid, but offensively extremely broken. With a new team, though, you just never know. Maybe a fresh set of eyes is what you need. And despite the fresh faces here, I really like on the Cubs Dansby Swanson, Trey Mancini, especially Edwin Rios, who used to be with the Dodgers. I'm obsessed with him against righties. A lefty, just a big, big lefty at the plate there. It's advantage Burns here, no doubt about it. And before we get into Stroman's numbers, let's talk the Brewers lineup that has some interesting additions. Jesse Winker from the left side, Brian Anderson from the right side at the hot corner, William Contreras, who raked at pitcher for the Braves last year, and Garrett Mitchell, who could end up being a deep, deep sleeper for stolen bases for all you Roto League folks. Hell, the 23-year-old had 8 stolen bases in just 28 games in the show last year, so if he finds a way to play every day and can get some momentum early, kind of a sneaky piece for you. But let's be serious, this team will go as far as Christian Yelich and Rowdy Tellez will take them, both lefties at the plate. Yelich gets, if he can get somewhat close back to his MVP form, and Tellez hits 35 jacks again, this Brewers team can still be dangerous in a super stacked National League. Okay, but Marcus Stroman. Tomorrow is supposed to be a high of 53 degrees with pretty benign wind. Always an important factor to be paying attention to when baseball is being played at Wrigley Field. Huge wind dimensions. And that should help his profile against this Brewers team, especially because Stroman was the epitome of reverse splits in 2022, meaning he's a right-handed pitcher who found more success against lefties than righties, not the normal. Doesn't have the platoon split, but reverse splits are what they are. It's highlighted by the 2.90 xFIP that he had against lefties, but an inflated 4.07 xFIP against righties through all of last season. And despite a home run rate that was average against lefties, he saw a 23.2% K rate against that handedness, as opposed to just an 18.7% K rate against righties. As I count the lefties in this projected lineup for the Brewers, let me just tell you, there's a lot of them. So the first prop to bet of the 2023 season the over of 4.5 strikeouts for Marcus Stroman. Nothing like betting on a pitcher you don't believe in on opening day, but the numbers are what they are. You are who we thought they were. So hoping he can stay alive long enough to get there for us against this lefty-heavy Brewers team that he has a higher K rate against. Just a small like, but a like on a prop nevertheless. To the trop we go. Tigers visiting Rays. A pair of southpaws dueling here. Eduardo Rodriguez, E-Rod on the bump for Detroit, and stud Shane McClanahan for the Rays. Starting with E-Rod, I used to be tantalized is the word, by the strikeout stuff, and believed he was one of the unluckiest pitchers in baseball throughout his Red Sox career because he was. He had a staggering 4.74 ERA despite a 3.47 expected ERA in 2021, along with a brutal, super unlucky 363 BABIP, which is just a fancy way of saying batting average on balls in play. That's BABIP. Just BABIP. B-A-B-I-P. I'll teach you to spell. I'll teach you about all the stats. We can do this. But despite the BABIP coming way back down to earth at 277 in 2022, the K rate took an equally staggering dip, going from 27.4% in a Red Sox uniform in 21 all the way down to 18.4% last year. So he went from perhaps the unluckiest pitcher to a truly lucky pitcher in 1 year. And while some people might think the truth lies somewhere in the middle as a result, I get worried the K rate won't rebound at all this year, and we'll have to rely on even more luck if you're going to back him. And I do not enjoy relying on luck when it comes to my money. I will, however, rely on range of outcomes because the public sentiment is rightly down on this Tigers team. We might be able to find some truly inflated numbers trying to have books urge you to bet them. You're not going to win more than 50% of those bets, that's for sure, but if you can get some plus money across the place, I don't think people understand how difficult it is to be hitting -1.5s, -2.5s on the run lines, or be laying -250 every single day. So, Detroit will make cards, but not today, because instead of those gross things, let's talk nice, fancy things, shall we? That would be stud Shane McClanahan on the mound for the Rays, who is a bona fide stud. He pitches in a great home ballpark in the Trop, and he draws perhaps the easiest matchup one could ask for on opening day in the Tigers. His curveball is just silly, moves a ton. He's just 25 years old. He found a way to avoid hard contact in his sophomore year after flirting with too many barreled balls over 10% in his 2021 rookie season. Everything points towards him having success in this matchup. And you want to trust a front office in baseball? Trust in the Rays in the American League and trust in the Dodgers in the National League. Seriously, just do it. They know what the heck they're doing when constructing a team. They're smarter than us. And while there's no big names besides Randy Arozarena and perhaps a healthy Brandon Lau, the other pieces just have their purposes. You have Isaac Paredes. He has tons of pop. Andy Diaz sets the table. Harold Ramirez hits for average. Yeah, they know what they're doing, and they've found ways to win 80-plus games in the tough AL East however many years in a row. Just a ridiculous organization that I'm sure will find a way to be successful again, despite the numbers in 2023. But fun lesson, right from the get-go as we start MLB, all of this information is already known by the books. And over any long sample size, it is going to be so hard to extract money from these favorite kind of spots. So, if I had to fire something up here, I'd actually be betting the under of 7 runs due to the ballpark, the lack of firepower from either lineup, and at least one of these southpaws I believe in going forward, and McClanahan should be able to shut down the Tigers. But it's just a lean because out of all 15 games on the board, this bet would rank out somewhere near the bottom in terms of priority. Currently not on the card, but under 7 runs, that's where I'd be leaning. Now, this is a pitcher's duel. The Phillies visiting Arlington and the Rangers. Aaron Nola taking the bump for Philly, perhaps the best pitcher in baseball on the other side. Jacob deGrom taking the bump for the Rangers. Let's start with the current go. deGrom battled through injuries his entire Mets career. Change of scenery here, though. And when healthy, he has broken the game of baseball. In 2021, he had a 1.08 ERA, a 1.61 xFIP, an asinine 45.1% K rate. And last year, while it wasn't those numbers, he still had a 42.7% K rate and a 173 batting average allowed. But one trend I think that needs to be paid attention to here, he allowed 9 homers in just 11 starts and 64 1/3 innings, leading to an inflated 3.08 ERA. And he is just 35 years old? He's younger than some of the other guys, Scherzer, Verlander, and such. But can he continue this magic? Are Verlander and Scherzer just outliers? We'll see, but I'm surely not going to bet against him here in the early going unless something becomes really apparently noticeable. So I talked up DeGrom, and rightfully so, but Aaron Nola on the other side is an ace in his own right, a 2.74 expected ERA, a low 0.83 home runs per 9, and a near 30% K rate. Sure, it's literally 10% less than that of DeGrom's, but a 6.3 WAR in 2022? That's ridiculous. That's even better than his adversary on the other side of the mound. So I'll save some talk here for, we'll talk these lineups another day. You're waiting on Bryce Harper to get back. That's important. Going to be important for the Phillies. I love the Trey Turner acquisition. I think everybody does. Kind of Captain America after the World Baseball Classic. But this one's all about pitching, even though I do expect DeGrom to be limited to around 75 pitches, and Nola not much further. Would be very surprised to see many starting pitchers, especially stud pitchers, go past 85 pitches in their first outing out. So yes, friends, 6.5 is a low number, but the under of 6.5 runs, it's a like, standard juice, simple like, we move on. My Minnesota Twins visiting Kauffman Stadium and the Royals here next. And let's have a quick rules discussion, shall we? 3 major changes have happened in baseball. The obvious one, number 1, the pitching clock. The less obvious one, number 2, the increase to the size of the bags. And the one that intrigues me the most, number 3, restrictions on defensive shifts. Now, the clock is super noticeable. It will speed up the game, but I'm not sure limiting throws over to first or things of that nature will lead to as many crazy outcomes as people might think. Mainly because pitchers will adjust. They've already adjusted in some cases from spring training, and hitters also have to be set in the batter's box with at least 8 seconds on the clock. So, you got kind of the burden of being able to figure things out from the batter as well. And yes, the bigger bases, number 2, should encourage teams to steal more, yada, 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 don't care. But the shift restrictions, fam, this is huge for left-handed bats, and I don't think it's being talked about as much as it should be. Whether it's Matt Olson of the Braves, Kyle Schwarber of the Phillies, Corey Seager of the Rangers, average is going to go way up for those guys from here until forever, because no longer can you just send everybody to the right side. So if somebody hits a pull as a lefty, you're not being tortured with the short throw to first, just picking off guys. Unfair advantage for righties up until this point. So, one player that I've kept out of that equation just a second ago, perhaps my favorite under-the-radar signing that the Twins have made in quite some time, left-handed hitter Joey Gallo. But remember when I said trust the Rays, trust the Dodgers, and follow what they do? Well, the Dodgers, they once took this great Ranger, and then, he was disowned by the Yankees. But they took Joey Gallo off the Yankees' hands last season, halfway through, started making some nice changes with him before falling short of their repeat World Series bid. Didn't have the funds to be able to fire him up. The Twins took note, saw the changes in the rules, offered him 1 year, yes, a prove-it deal worth $11 million. Now, no doubt about it, you're going to need to see something here quick. But the Yankees and the Dodgers, similar situation. This is a lineup with protection. Byron Buxton, my favorite player in all of baseball. Please, God, stay healthy. One-time dealer. Carlos Correa, now on a long-term deal with my team. Such a beautiful thing. Max Kepler coming off an atrocious 2022, but we know he can smash baseballs if he stays healthy. And Jose Miranda, who surpassed all expectations last year, but is also bringing insane pop to the plate with a 1.225 OPS that he had over the spring ball. That kind of protection, my friends, makes Joey Gallo and this entire Twins lineup far more potent in the AL Central than I think people think. And if prevention of the shift helps lefties as much as I think it will this year, prepare for Joey Gallo to lift off, starting right here on Thursday. It's a high of 70 degrees in KC, which actually makes it one of the better hitting conditions on the board, considering it's late March and much colder in a lot of other places. And I expect Gallo to be buried somewhere near the bottom of the order, batting 6th, probably 7th, based on what we saw in the spring training. But he's like 200 to 1 to win the home run crowd on DraftKings Sportsbook. So I want you to put a pin in this. Those are insanely long odds, but I'm going to be considering pulling the trigger if he can somehow find some momentum early, play his way up in the order, because it's really hard to win a home run crowd batting 7th. But on the Thursday's matchup, that's what you care about. We're looking at 2 pitchers, Pablo Lopez for the Twins, Zach Greinke for the Royals. I don't find either of them all that appealing. Now, Lopez I'm cheering for big time because he's on my team, but always get a little squirmy when a pitcher goes from Miami's cavern of a ballpark for half of their games at home to a more hitter-friendly venue like Target Field. Plus, I don't mind this Royals lineup. MJ Melendez and Vinny Pasquantino from the left side, Bobby Witt and Sal Perez from the right side, two of the best at their positions in baseball with a bat. That's a potent top of the lineup that at least, I mean, it's going to fall off a cliff after that, but they can do some damage there. In Minnesota, I've made it well known I like the pieces, but Zach Greinke, I do not like. Sam I am. I do not like Green Eggs and Ham. Zero clue how the near 40-year-old survives another year in baseball after a luck-riddled season just to have a 3.68 ERA last year. He had a 4.78 expected ERA, way worse than that. His 284 expected batting average, one of the worst amongst starters in baseball, and his 12.5% K rate last year, bottom first percentile. Everybody's above him there. It's as bad as it gets. That's why it's the first percentile. You can't go lower than 1. I learned that on Succession on Sunday. So I know this has been a total heavy show, but I wanted to talk about my team a lot. Just like I want to talk about the over of 8.5 runs here, which is currently available only on FanDuel. If it moves to 9, you can still entertain this as a play, but that would move it more into the lean category for me. So over 8.5 runs, whew, I'm going to have some water. That does it for me on this one. Like it. If you're new to the Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks streets, congratulations if you live in Colorado, Ohio, Virginia, or New Jersey. And why is that? Well, because those are the only 4 states you can take advantage of this offer right now. Bet365, they are doing an unbelievable offer for you. All you do is sign up in the video description box below, click on that link. You deposit $10 or more, bet $1 on anything in the MLB streets on Thursday, and you're going to get $365 in bonus bets. No questions asked. Do you know how insane that is? I know sportsbooks are offering deals left and right, trying to have you guys sign up, trying out things, but for the whole price of $1, you're getting $365 in bonus bets. And this is an esteemed book. They are internationally renowned, coming over to the United States, and yeah, they're test driving 4 states. I repeat, New Jersey, Colorado, Ohio, and Virginia. But if you sign up and play there right now, depositing $10 and bet $1, you're going to get $365. So start off your year with a win. Start off your MLB season with a huge W at Bet365. It's only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Alrighty, y'all, back to the picks. We're going to Miami. Oh, Miami. Mets, fresh, straight off of losing the best closer in baseball for the season due to a celebration injury. Nice job, Edwin Diaz. Taking on the Marlins. And holy pitching, Batman. Kind of a theme for opening day, as every team theoretically has their top pitcher on the mound. But it's especially true here, as reigning Cy Young winner Sandy Alcantara, you say Alcantara, I say Alcantara. Sandy Alcantara throws out for Miami here, and Mad Max Scherzer in his billionth year out there on the mound for the Mets. Scherzer, 38 years old, still a top 5 pitcher in baseball, which is so insane to say, but it's so true. He's traditionally an extreme fly ball pitcher, which might bite him from time to time with solo shots, but not in a ballpark like Miami's, or against teams like Miami's. Again, video game numbers for Max in 2022. A 265 xWOBA, 30.6% K rate, 4.2% walk rate. Only thing that changes for the Mets this year is they got rid of DeGrom and bring in Justin Verlander, and they don't have Edwin Diaz, which really sucks, but it is what it is. Not exactly a steep downgrade, though, going from DeGrom to Verlander. Wild to say that out loud, especially considering Kate Upton. She's going to be primetime ball in New York. Oh, that'll be fun for everybody involved. And Sandy, Sandy Alcantara. Again, I'll figure it out here later. He's a stud too, but doesn't carry anywhere near the same K rate as Max at 23.4%. Oh, and he doesn't have this unbelievable Mets lineup backing him up either. Seriously, Starling Marte, Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, Tommy Pham added to the equation. I mean, owner Steve Cohen put together a team in the offseason, put his money where his mouth is, and it shows. Still, I don't find this game all that easy to figure out what to do with, and God forbid I take another under, so instead, I'm going to throw this out there. Yes, the Mets just lost the best closer in baseball before the season even began. And yes, Jacob deGrom was an ace, and he will be missed. But this is the best team in the NL right now. And on DraftKings, you can bet them at plus 950 to win the World Series over at DraftKings Sportsbook. I think that's actually undervalued. And the Phillies in the same division, I think, are undervalued too, but that's a conversation for a different day. So, I had a lot of people asking me for futures and win totals and things of that nature, but I only have 2 bets that I've made in that department so far, and one of them is this one. Mets to win the World Series, barely inside of 10-1. Put a prospective play on it, plus 950. I like it. On the surface, Pirates visiting Reds in Great American Small Park might seem like one of the most uninteresting spots on the entire slate to watch, but friends, if you watched this program at the tail end of last year, you know my love for the one, the only, Hunter Greene of the Reds. He has the most ridiculous pitch mix. Did he have a major home run problem here? Absolutely did. But he gets a great matchup here in the Pirates on opening day, and he'll be starting for that home team going up against Mitch Keller of the Pirates. And if you're not familiar for why I call it Great American Small Park in Cincinnati, look up some of the home run data. Hint, it's #1 in that department. Pretty insane stuff despite no semblance of a lineup on a yearly basis from the Reds, but this year is no exception, and I still expect lots of balls to leave the yard. And the Pirates, well, maybe this is the year Brian Hayes finds the form that I've been waiting for. Maybe? ? Brian Reynolds, still major league hitter. Lots of interesting pieces on the Pirates side, but it's just such a hard team to want to back here against my dude, Hunter Greene. And while I like Cincinnati for this game, if you want to take that one, you could go minus 132. I like him to win the NL Cy Young at 75-1. Sounds crazy, but my two favorite pitchers to bet on to win an NL Cy Young are both on the lowly Reds. It is Hunter Greene and it is Nick Lodolo, who has even longer odds. So I'm telling you, Cincinnati, they're going to be a terrible baseball team this year, but it has everything to do with the lineup and nothing to do with the two studs that they're going to put on the mound every 5 days. Get ready for it. Hunter Greene going to mow down dudes in the NL this year. To St. Louis we go for some serious righty pop. Blue Jays and Cardinals. Love seeing all the interleague goodness to start off the year. That was always dumb when they didn't play across divisions, but that was ages ago. And today, we've got freshly paid Miles Michaelis. He's doing this after 2 years, $40 million, starting for the Redbirds, and Alek Manoah pitching for the Bluebirds. And these early season games, I've said it a few times, but you should be expecting limited pitch counts. And while neither of these two are out there mowing down dudes with their sub 23% K rates, they're both very effective and would do wonders to help out their pen against two very potent offenses. Starting with the Blue Jays, we know the drill by now. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is special. Matt Chapman went berserk in the hard hit department last year. Bo Bichette recovered in the second half of the season, and if George Springer stays healthy, good lord, what a lineup. Plus, Brandon Belt not in San Francisco now? That could be an interesting addition against righties. Alejandro Kirk, one of the best hitting catchers / DHs in baseball. And the wild card for me, Dalton Varsho, who will see a big ballpark upgrade over Chase Field in Arizona, where he had spent his entire career up until now. But the Cardinals, all eyes. They won't be on Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. We know what they can do. They're two of the best in baseball, specifically Paul Goldschmidt. Play him against lefties. Alek Manoah is not a lefty. That's a conversation for a different day. Not international Japanese team sensation Lars Nootbaar either. Wilson Contreras, proven catcher. But nobody's going to be paying attention to him either because he's going to have success. He's one of the best hitting catchers in baseball. But all eyes will be on Jordan Walker. Yeah, you heard me. A 6'5", 220-pound, 20-year-old monster of a man who will be buried in this order to start off the season, no doubt. But he has the makings of everything you want for a stud in Major League Baseball. I'm a little worried because he skipped AAA ball entirely and is jumping straight from AA to the show. But I can't wait to see the power and speed tool together. He stole 22 bases, hit like 18 home runs in AA after all last year. He's going to be sitting at the back half of this lineup. Whew, gotta feel good not having Jason Hayward on a corner if you're a Cardinals fan too, am I right? Poor Jason Hayward. He was a good defensive outfielder. Nobody cares. But as solid as Manoah is, I'll take the home dog in game one of this series and of this season because I bet a lot of dogs in baseball. And as potent as both lineups are, I do like the Cardinals bullpen just a tad more because that Jordan Hicks fellow who throws infinity miles per hour is just too good. Don't believe me? Google it. Go Google Jordan Hicks. He's outrageous. But go Redbirds, Cardinals on the money line for a small underdog money play. Every team is playing baseball, 15 spots on the slate, and the best chance of weather affecting anything is out of all places, San Diego. Yes, the Padres hosting the Rockies, and for the first time in a long time, the Dodgers are not runaway favorites in the NL West because the Padres, they got themselves a ball club. They'll be starting off Blake Snell on the mound against German Marquez of the Rockies, who, like almost every pitcher in the history of the Rockies, pitches way better away from Coors Field. You know, because Coors Field is at altitude, huge ballpark, dimensions, worst possible place to pitch on earth, other than Reno in AAA, but that's another conversation. It's been pouring in Southern California for months, though, and this could be more of that in San Diego on Thursday. But assuming this game is good to go and starts normally, I want everyone to know just how concerned I am for Blake Snell starting this season. I went to spring training. I watched him get teed up with almost no velocity against a AAA Mariners squad. Now, I repeat, a player of Snell's caliber, you could very easily disregard it. But last season wasn't exactly roses all the time for Snell. The hard hit was up nearly to 40%, and despite the insanely good 32% K rate, he does have a bit of a walk problem from time to time. It's hovering around a 9.5% walk rate. Still, he's quite good, so I don't want to just rag on him. I'm just not quite sold he doesn't take a bit of time to ramp up in 2023, if you know what I mean. And German Marquez, have fun. Gonna be BP'd out there for San Diego. He used to be somebody that I like to back, but those days are long gone. They're sad. 2022's numbers, sub 20% K rate, a hefty 47.2% hard hit rate. Not what you want facing a literal all-star team here in San Diego. Seriously, have you looked at this roster lately? And while Fernando Tatis still has 20 games remaining to serve of his 80-game PED suspension, they kind of have Manny Machado, Juan Soto, Xander Bogaerts, Nelson Cruz, and Matt Carpenter against righties. They should do just fine carrying the offensive load here. Now, I would have this as an over of 7.5 if this game played clean, but I would like more information this morning, the Thursday morning, that would be tomorrow. So I would like to have Marquez staying out there as long as possible. Wouldn't want to have some kind of a range shorten outing for him, because you run into a bullpen situation. That's always an improved situation over a pitcher like Marquez. So the over of 7.5 runs here, just a lean until I consult the old google.com weather machine tomorrow. Over 7.5. That's what I have my eye on, though. The World Series champion Houston Astros get things kicked off here at home against the White Sox. Nobody wants to watch that ring ceremony. We just don't. Bad, Houston, bad. But like most games today, it's two aces on the mound. Dylan Cease for the White Sox and Framber Valdez, lefty, on the mound for the Astros. Let's start with righty Cease. He was the runner-up in Cy Young voting last season, and deservedly so. A 31.2% hard hit rate, a 257 xWOBA, a 30.4% K rate, silly good numbers. The walks have moments of spiking. That's his really only weakness at 10.4% from last year. But overall, you gotta like what you see if you're a White Sox fan. You basically got the ace that you thought Michael Kopech was supposed to be in Cease, but whatever. You got one of them to work out. And Framber Valdez, it's all about those ground balls, friends. He has silly numbers in that department with an absurd 66.2% career ground ball rate. I'm telling you, that is nonsensical to look at. He added some semblance of a K rate last year, which led to the best season of his career by far, with a 4.4 WAR. Yes, 4.4 wins above replacement, almost 1.5 games better than his next best season in the bigs. If that form continues, yay for Astros fans. We're upset the other 29 teams, people who follow. You have an embarrassment of riches. Even without Justin Verlander, that staff should be really good this year. Hi, Luis Garcia, looking at you. And I'll talk Luis Robert of the White Sox another day, a dark horse MVP candidate in my books, who will literally make or break the White Sox season. But let's go to the lefties here from the Astros right out of the gate. Yordan Alvarez, Biggie, and Kyle Tucker. They made us a ton of money last year. Facing righties, yeah, play them. They smash. Alvarez is 38 homers and Kyle Tucker's 33, made for one of the best lefty combos in all of the game, in my opinion, on par with that of Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber of the Phillies. But because Alvarez is routinely inside of plus 300, gets steamed up there from time to time, it's so hard to bet his home run props and feel like you're getting any kind of money and good. But at plus 370 with Tucker today, coming off of the World Baseball Classic, where he shined for the U.S., looked great at the plate, good plate discipline. We know he has speed too, so again, people don't want him on base. I think there's a sliver of value at plus 370. You don't need much here to make it worth your while. but I'd be remiss not to have at least perhaps my favorite player to watch in baseball that doesn't wear a Twins uniform on my betting card for tomorrow. So Kyle Tucker, plus 370 to Hunter. Kyle Tucker to home run, plus 370, thumbs up. We have 3 games to go. I know we are just sledding through all of this. Long 15-gamer to start off the season. Lots of information to get out there. If you've enjoyed it, please hit that like button as we jump to poor Oakland. The Angels, stacked, but that's kind of generally what they normally are, is they're stacked and then they do nothing with it. They're going to be visiting Oakland, but oh my. This is just a shell of a baseball team. Yeah, minus 215 favorites going up there. It's weird to call that value, but I do think there is a semblance of value there. They have Shohei Ohtani on the mound, rather good at pitching. That seemed to go well at the World Baseball Classic. He ended up being a closer there at the end. Everybody's going to remember that Mike Trout out for as long as they live, including Mike Trout. Yeah, light a fire on Mike Trout, see how that goes. As long as he stays healthy, which is a big if, this team could go places. And I do like their acquisition of Hunter Renfroe going up against a lefty here on the other side of it. I'm pretty sure Kyle Muller should not be starting any opening day from now until the end of time. The guy only appeared in 3 games all of last season, but had over an 8 ERA, a 1.7 whip, nothing good, and throwing it from the left side of the plate is not good when you got Mike Trout and Hunter Renfroe and Taylor Ward sitting there. Anthony Rendon, healthy. Gio Urshela, a nice pickup from my Twins. It's sad to see him go. And Brandon Drury. Everything's so dreary and everyone's so vague. I didn't see Puddle of Mud entering my life here today, but here we are. And the athletic side, I really have nothing to add. They're terrible, horrible, no good, very bad baseball team. I mean, they got rid of everybody. Jesus Aguilar is going to have to play like every day for him. He's washed. Shane Langolier is probably the best hitter in that lineup now. Ramon Laureano, if he stays healthy, but he's probably going to get traded too. I'm telling you, this is just an Angels smackdown. So, thought about making it the run line, but I'm actually just going to go a little conservative here because, again, I don't think they want Ohtani ramping up to 85, 90 pitches right out of the gate coming off of the World Baseball Classic. So, we are locking the Angels money line with the over of 7 runs. Yeah, you heard me. The over of 7 runs. Oakland's bullpen going to get torched all season long as well. Yes, this is a tough ballpark to be hitting at. Yes, that is definitely something that I want to be considering. But first game right out of the gate, watch this Angels team start to put it together before it inevitably falls apart. We head to Arizona visiting the Dodgers here next. Yes, Dodger Stadium. And weird to have the Dodgers not be favorites right from the get-go in the NL West. Now, some books do have them right around even up with the San Diego Padres, but Julio Urias taking the mound for them, going up against Zach Gallen, and Zach Gallen was one of my dudes last year. I don't think people give him enough respect for this 2.54 ERA, 0.91 whip. He does not beat himself, and that is just displayed by his 12-4 record, and I backed him pretty much all of last year, definitely to positive dividends, but do you really want to go nuts against this Dodgers team? Do you really? I don't know. I'm truly considering it. Julio Urias started to have some really strange outings towards the end of last year, but still a 2.25 ERA, 0.96 whip. He is very good, southpaw on that side of it, and looking at this Arizona lineup, without Dalton Varsho there, you're going to be relying on a lot of young players. Corbin Carroll could really be that dude, but it's waiting to see. We have Lourdes Gurriel. Maybe they can find something out of the former Blue Jay here. And Christian Walker, somebody who I made a lot of money on home run props. If you were following along with this video, you know, he was undervalued for the very beginning of that entire stretch last year. But I'm going to just lean the Arizona Diamondbacks here going up against the Dodgers. The Dodgers lineup still extremely potent. Don't get me wrong there. Betts, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, JD Martinez now in a Dodger uniform as well. Lots of things that we're going to have to be on a wait-and-see approach. But no Trey Turner. Interesting questions. Maybe they just have it all. Gratterall coming out of the pen. Not positive. I'm thinking about Arizona money line though because Gallen is just my dude. And the last game of the night, we do have a play from this one. 2 studs on the mound going at it. Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Guardians going up against Luis Castillo, a Cincinnati send-off Oh, it would have been so nice to have Luis Castillo, Hunter Green, and Nick Lodolo all pitching together in Cincinnati, but that's why Cincinnati can't have nice things. Why would you get rid of that? Oh, I get it, because you need money to do other things like, I don't know, bolster your lineup somehow, some way, eventually. But we're not talking about Cincinnati and my frustrations there. I'm not even a Cincinnati fan. I'm just a fan of their pitching staff. I'm a big fan of both of these pitchers, that's for sure. Shane Bieber started to piece it together again. You saw the playoff series where he was just exceptional. I don't know what to say. Sub-3 ERA, 1 whip. Getting back to that Cy Young form you were looking for. And Luis Castillo, while the K stuff doesn't really blow you away, doesn't blow you out of the water, he sees a huge ballpark upgrade going to Seattle. Seattle, actually the most difficult ballpark to hit home runs out of in Major League Baseball last year, which I found to be a little bit intriguing because I do like their lineup up and down. Ty France, probably one of the most underrated hitters in all of baseball. Julio Rodriguez, probably one of the most properly rated elite players in all of baseball in his second year. Teoscar Hernandez added to the middle of that lineup is a really great pickup from the Blue Jays. And Eugenio Suarez, maybe they can find something from him there for sure. Cal Raleigh. Oh, that guy's just awesome too. But Cleveland, it's all J-Ram all the time. Stephen Kwan at the top of that lineup could be in consideration for somebody who could go out and get a lot of runs, maybe get the, it's not called the run title. I just think he's going to score a lot. But I also think Seattle at home, going to be a confirmed thing. And I just want to be backing them here immediately, right from the get-go. I know they're a dark horse team for a lot of people to win the World Series, but I think they've got the kind of construction, especially the kind of bullpen that you're looking for to be successful come October. Now, it is March 30th. I just want to throw that out there. It says March 30th. So we're a long ways away from that. So we're going to pump the brakes there. I don't want to be betting Seattle right from the get-go to win a World Series by any means, but I want to bet them to beat the Cleveland Guardians right here. Yes, Shane Bieber. It's a tough ask for sure, but I think Seattle gets it done. The better lineup, much better lineup. Cleveland not going to strike out a ton, but Luis Castillo can definitely limit the damage at that home ballpark. And that does it for the first MLB edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks for 2023. If you appreciated the content, hit that like button. Let me know in the comment section below also what your favorite plays on Thursday's massive 15-gamer with all 30 MLB teams in play. I'm going to have some additions to my betting card. That is for darn tootin'. You can be for sure signing up down there. Use promo code Lindy when you do, Lindy. Get half off the first week. Come hang out with me, a bunch of other sharp bettors as we talk sports all the livelong day. And hey, if you're in one of those 4 states, that being Colorado, Ohio, Virginia, or New Jersey, check out Bet365. This is great stuff. You bet $1, get $365 in bet credits when you sign up at the link in the video description box below. You got to be 21 and over, and if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Alrighty, I'll be back on Friday. Until then, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Thursday.